Hey everybody, it's Syfy and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to actually re-rank the Chucky movies and TV seasons, basically by adding in season 3 of Chucky. Now, I'm just going to get started here. I have literally not changed any rankings on the list except for putting season 3 in there. And so I don't think I'm going to go through everything again because that's kind of stupid unless I actually went in there and thought, oh, actually, I really like Seed of Chucky now, so I'm going to put it in the masterpiece tier, which will never fucking happen ever. Because that movie basically is the cause of this horrible Chucky show being the way that it is, being so goofy and being comedic like this. It's all because of that movie. You know, Bride of Chucky still had some serious stuff in it. It still felt like it was a serious kind of horror movie with comedic elements. But Seed of Chucky was when the series went full retard. So, I'm just going to say, Chucky Season 3 I have added into the won't watch again tier, which is basically like the D tier. It's not great, it's not terrible, and the reason why is because they stuck the landing. Regardless of how bad this season was, and regardless of how much potential they wasted yet again, it still kind of stuck the landing. I mean, the final episode was very flawed, logically, but if you turn your brain off, you can have fun, and it ends in a pretty fun kind of Dolls movie throwback type of way. And another thing that I didn't mention in the review is the part at the very end where they're all turned into marionettes. That part really reminded me of Goosebumps. And so I was glad that we got a little bit of that Goosebumps feeling again, because that's what I was saying that the show could have been in season 1. I was saying that it could have been like an adult R-rated Goosebumps. And I really thought, when you see those kids' faces on the marionettes, and it's very cheap looking, like they just CGI'd their faces, which they're not going to be able to do that for next season. They're going to have to, because that would not look good for a whole season for them to be like that, or even if it was a movie. They're going to have to make marionettes. I really hope there isn't a clause in these actors' contracts where it's oh, we have to see their real faces, because it's you got Chucky, you got Tiffany. You don't see their real faces most of the time on screen. You see these dolls. And so it shouldn't be any different for these kids for this twist. So, but I really like that twist ending. And there were a couple of things in the season that I liked. In general, I'm more positive towards this season because with the other two seasons, there was never a point at the end where it got a little bit better. It was always in season 1, you had a really good premise at first, and then they kind of ruined it, and they ruined it even more and even more and even more, and they just took this terrible turn where Junior was the killer, and then season 2, they ruined that, where that season started off like it could be really, really good, but then they brought in Glenn and Glenda, and had the whole non-binary agenda in the season, and they had all this Tiffany subplot that really sucked, and that one where it's the dinner party, that's probably the worst episode of the series. And the season it did not end well either. It ended in a very silly way, and season 3 started off in a pretty silly way too. I mean, that whole wheelchair chase was cartoonish and stupid, and they knew it. And just this leaning into the comedy is really getting on my nerves because it's not good. It doesn't work for the show at all. And then, but the season had a couple of okay episodes. I really liked the Panic Room episode. I thought that there were some pretty unexpected and smart choices that were made in these couple of good episodes. Like, I really liked the president's body double character, and I thought that the stuff in the White House was actually dealt with pretty well sometimes. But there were also a couple of things that I really didn't like. I didn't like Jake and Devin driving a car when they don't know how to drive. And I didn't like, basically, this whole season is kind of hampered by the fact that they had a new mother, which is the biology teacher, and she gets killed in like episode 2 or 3, and suddenly there's never any mention of her again. And you think about, how did they have the money to stay at this hotel? How did they have the money to buy this food? How did they get to the White House? I mean, how is any of this, how does it make sense? It doesn't make sense at all. It's stupid and dumb. And if this was a Goosebumps book, R.L. Stine would have explained it, you know? I mean, he would have had it where they weren't able to stay in a hotel anymore, and they'd be out on the street, and then they'd stay at the White House or something. You know, he would actually make it make sense. But these kids literally never mention their biology teacher mother again. And it's like, fuck that character. And it's really weird, because I thought that, like, I mean, that was like a big twist at the end of season 2, as well as that she became their mother. And it was so stupid the way she just disappeared, and there's no mention of her again. She's not even a ghost in the White House at the end of the season. I mean, that's how stupid this show is. So yeah, it's like a mixed bag. It's just not good enough to even be at the point of it being okay yet. I mean, I still think that Curse of Chucky is better than it. And then in terms of why season 3 is better than the remake and Cult of Chucky, well, both those movies ended terribly. You know, Cult of Chucky had a really good concept and idea, and it miserably failed. I mean, that was a terrible movie. Not enjoyable at all. And then the remake, that started off really, really good. And then it quickly devolved and became trash. And, you know, you have Aubrey Plaza playing the mother. Ew. I mean, in thinking about that, just because of her being the mother character, after you had Catherine Hicks, who did such a good job, it's like they really do not like Andy's mother's character, because they just will not do her justice at all. But another reason why Chucky Season 3 is kind of ahead of these 5 other things is because Kyle and Andy aren't in it very much. And, you know, I do like Andy's character, but or they might not be in it at all. I really can't remember, because the part 1 of Season 3 was so far away ago. It was like last year, and I don't want to think about last year. And then there wasn't as much Tiffany, especially in the second part, which I liked. You know, like, I really don't like the Tiffany subplot very much, except for like in very small doses. And I don't like the Andy and Kyle subplots very much, because they're kind of cartoony and bad. And so, yeah, season 3 has the best stuff out of all 3 seasons, but that's not saying much, because all 3 seasons suck. So, anyways, please like this video and comment, and tell me where you would rank season 3 amongst the other things in the series. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to continue seeing more honest reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.